I'm going to start you off slow today. I'm going to pretend you're all middle schoolers, because I'm going to echo what I taught on Sunday, preparing for Thanksgiving, just because it's a great way to get into the lesson here. So Thanksgiving is about giving thanks. With me so far? Okay. Saw a few blank faces on that one. So we're talking about giving thanks. That's pretty obvious. But that ties right into the act of prayer itself. And some of you know this, a few of you haven't heard this yet. What prayer means. Prayer means to ask. That is what the word specifically means down to the definition, to ask. So when we're praying to God, we are asking of God somehow, directly or indirectly. So even if you're not saying, "Oh Lord, I long for this. Oh Lord, grant me this prayer," you're at the very least saying, "Oh Lord, please hear me." Okay, there is an attitude of respect and request for any genuine prayer. The kids did pretty well on this question. What is the opposite of asking? My answer is demanding. I also would have accepted commanding or telling. That's what the kids came up with. But demanding. The opposite of a prayer is a demand. All right? So when someone says, "Father Justin, is there such a thing as a bad prayer?" I would say, if you're demanding something of God, yeah, that might be a problem. Instead of saying, "Oh Lord, hear my prayer," you're saying, "Oh Lord, you better hear my prayer." That's where things get not good. So that is what prayer means. And this difference between asking and demanding is perfectly straightforward if there's another human being involved. Imagine that you're grade schoolers, you come home from school, "Dad, do my math homework." I don't know for sure what your dad would say, but my first guess would be, "No, do your own homework," and "Oh yeah, you're grounded." But what happens if you go home and say, "Hey Dad, I'm having a tough time with my math. Can you give me a hand with my homework?" Chances are your dad will say, "Sure, son, what seems to be the problem?" All right? That's the difference between asking and demanding. It's true for your dad. It's true for your mom. I'm pretty sure it's true for your boss. So it's true for God. We are meant to ask of God, not demand of God. So if we're asking God, we're talking about prayer, we're talking about respect and request, that ties right into thanksgiving. Because if we are asking of God, genuinely requesting of God, knowing He's in control, then it is only natural that we give thanks for all of the good things He's done for us as well. So that is what builds up humility and respect. So with all that in mind, Thanksgiving Day is pretty much a pre-Christmas holiday. All right? It's kind of like almost like a more humanistic version of Christmas, where we're generally giving thanks, and therefore we should be ready for even greater thanks for the birth of Christ. Now, when I said more humanistic, that's a relative term. I was comparing it to Christmas for all that's worth. We should never be 100% totally humanistic. We should never give thanks for anything while pushing God completely out of the equation. That is a bad idea. No matter what we are giving thanks for, no matter how minor, no matter the object or the person or the whatever, that thanks really ought to be ultimately directed toward God. Okay? And that is exactly what we heard in the gospel today. In the gospel, we have 10 lepers. Leprosy is, by the way, a skin condition. Technically, back in that age, any blemish could have counted as leprosy. But when we read about leprosy in the Bible that was miraculously healed, we're talking about the horrible kind of leprosy that never goes away and, for all intents and purposes, cannot be treated by human medical science. They could not treat leprosy back then. So, when they're healed, something miraculous happened. That was a great gift to be cured of leprosy. That's like being cured of having your arm chopped off, okay? It's not growing back. If it comes back, that's a pretty amazing thing. And 9 out of 10 of them just went away. And while I'm willing to believe that they offered some kind of thanksgiving privately, some kind of humanistic thanksgiving, I suppose, only one of them went back and offered thanksgiving to God. He was the only one that gave credit where credit is due. And that's why Jesus said, "Go forth, your faith has saved you." That is supposed to be us. Whenever we have anything to be thankful for, which, by the way, is probably every day of your life, if it's not every day, I'll say it's 99 out of 100 days to have thanks for something, that thanksgiving is meant to be directed toward God ultimately. Okay? You can be thankful for your spouse, your brothers, your sisters, your job, this experience, anything. No matter what it is, the thanksgiving ought to eventually reach God. And that is how we're like the 10th leper in the story. So once again, I invite you to think of the day as a pre-Christmas holiday. It's not technically the beginning of Advent. That starts December 3rd, unless, of course, you're a Lopina. We're decorating the Christmas tree today. My willpower had no say in that. And it's Thanksgiving Day, so Mom has complete permission to play Christmas music all day, every day, until December 25th. And there ain't nothing the rest of us can do about that. I'm sure some of you have similar takes on Thanksgiving. Advent begins December 3rd. However, we are free to consider Thanksgiving as the beginning of Advent in our hearts, because today is an overall day of gratitude, and that ought to warm us up for even greater gratitude for Christmas, and it's only 32 days away. So for everything you're thankful for today, try to remember that it's all directed toward God, and all of your thanksgiving really ought to lead to the holiest Christmas that we can manage in a little over a month.